I almost thought about like, having like a birthday candle and shit and blowing it
That would
up.
have been great. Great way to start. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to the most unscripted JAMXP in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we unscripted something was our free for all episode.
And that was a long time ago.
That was
It doesn't
like
feel like it, but
forever ago. That was 18. Episode 18 was for our free for all.
wow,
That was
been a
probably back
while.
in like freaking August, September,
And
something
then
like
not,
that.
but not only that, but we had stashed that one away for a lull between interviews.
It is true.
And we just ended up needing to insert it somewhere before we did never got to use it.
Yeah. My
Um,
husband still bothers me though. He still wants to do a spouses episode.
we'll get there eventually, maybe one day.
Maybe.
So we figured we would go through our episodes that we released in the first year of JAMXP being a thing and give
Yes.
our
So,
highlights or what we remember from it.
I mean, I don't remember a lot, but
That makes two of us. That was clearly obvious as I went through the episodes and I looked at the summaries of some of them and I'm like, what did I mention? What did we talk about? So this should be good. I have something for most episodes though.
I do have
Uh,
something for most, but I mean, in all actuality, a lot of our beginning episodes were just random things we wanted to talk about.
yeah, we're
So,
getting
I mean, I
used
don't have a
to.
ton to talk about with those. We can just kind of clump all those beginning episodes together. I mean, the interview ones are a little more in depth, probably, but
Oh shit! Give me a second. I gotta plug in my fan.
ah, got to
I'm
plug in
like,
his
it's hot
fan
in here, and I'm like, damn. Normally, this is the stuff that happens behind the scenes, everybody, like before we start, and I'm
before we
just
start. Yes, normally.
so how about we start with our introductory episode? I believe we called it We're Awesome.
Yes, we're awesome.
What do you remember about that? What was your highlight from that?
I mean, I talked a lot about Warp Tour, I feel like.
We both did. That's how we came up with the idea to later have a Warp Tour episode.
Yes, it is.
And I remember us talking about how we both kind of got into the music from our siblings.
Oh,
That's what I took
yes,
away from it.
we did. Mine was from my brother and yours was from your sister.
Yep.
That was a pretty long episode. Actually, that's our most watched one, like listened one on Spotify.
Oh, yeah, can't imagine why.
It's the first one, and people are like, who the heck are these people?
Probably. And I mean, it was like an hour 45, wasn't it? Hour 30,
Yeah, it
hour
was a pretty
45.
long episode. But yeah, no. I mean, our first episode was fun. I mean, we got to kind of reminisce and stuff
Yeah,
about the olden days and how we may or may not have met on certain
hot or not.
websites.
Yeah. What about episode two? Episode two was kind of my takeaway from episode two is that we talked about the cinnamon toast crunch wrap, which is one of the things I remember from back in the day you introducing me to, and it
Yeah.
foreshadowed one of our future guests.
Are you sure that's what we talked about? Because I have down that was a homework episode and we looked into like new bands to us.
According to the description on Spotify, Cinnamon Toast Crunch was mentioned.
It might have
So
been mentioned. Probably did. Because I think we probably talked about like, oh, yeah, back in the day. I remember CTC, the CTC.
so what do you have down for episode two?
Nothing.
Did you listen to any of these? Or did you go off of memory?
I didn't write anything about our regular episodes.
Okay. Yeah,
I
I it
kind of
was
just figured they kind of explained themselves. Like we did homework, and I'm pretty sure that's how we discovered like soft spoken
it is. Yep. And
and a
then
few other bands.
so episode three we alluded to in our awesome summary 25 seconds ago. We talked about Warp Tour. And I think this is when we discovered we were both at the Buffalo Warp Tour. I think it was on that episode.
It might have been. I don't know. I don't really listen to our episodes that much after we've put them up. I'm like,
No,
I was in
no.
them.
Although I have to say, I was editing the Sam Tabor episode earlier today, and as I'm going to edit it, I caught myself just watching it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be editing.
Well, that's because you love Sam Tabor a
I
ton.
do. And to be fair, it was a solid interview, and there was very little that needed to be edited. So that made it easy on me. Episode four. This was another homework. Was this the post-hardcore?
You skipped three.
No, I didn't. I just said three.
No, three is
Warp
Warp
Tour.
Tour.
I literally just said Warp Tour, and that's when we found out we went to the same one.
Oh, I thought we were still talking randomly about the homework episode, and I'm like, what are you
No.
talking about? See, this is what goes on, folks.
So, okay, episode 4, that's post-hardcore from
Yeah, that was our episode that we did about, is it
okay.
post-hardcore or is it not? I don't know.
And I don't remember anything we talked about.
I mean, we did have like a few bands each that we talked about that we thought were more like, would you consider them post-hardcore? Or would they just be considered more like metal or not even post-hardcore at all?
That sounds like a horrible episode.
I don't know if it was that great. It only had 17 plays on Spotify, and this was
Okay.
before we started doing YouTube, people. So it was not a popular episode. So we'll just skip past that one.
Episode 5, what was the title on that one?
Episode 5, that was the
Our
past.
favorite
That was just
tours.
about past and upcoming tours.
So I know I talked about my favorite tour being Silverstein and Under Oath in 2005 on that one. 100% remember that. And again, I foreshadow a future episode.
I mean, I got notes, so they're probably in here.
Okay, grandma, licking your fingers and flipping the pages.
I did lick my fingers. It's the only way to work. Got to get that licking in. The page
Gotta get
licking.
that licking in.
Page licking
Oh
guy.
gosh. I'm gonna move on to episode 6 while I look for notes. We talked about bands that influenced us. And I'm sure without even listening, I mentioned Silverstein, Goldfinger, and the Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, yeah. Bands that molded me that, yeah, I mean, I remember talking about like Green Day because that was brought up from
Yeah,
my brother and everything. And then Lucky Boy's Confusion was something I was into back in like middle school days.
I probably mentioned The Living End. My sister got me into them.
I feel like you
Um,
did. I feel like you did.
all right, so let's move on.
I have no notes. I can't find them.
Let's move on to the our first interview, episode 7,
Yes, that was
with
with our friends
stereotherapy.
Stereotherapy.
So what do you remember about this? I remember talking we were talking mental health, and I shared a story that I wish I could go back and take back and not put out there, but it's out there now and it is what it is. Um yeah, so if you want to know what that story was, go listen to that episode.
I mean, I just remember chit-chatting with my friend Lisa, you know.
What
That was
up, Lisa?
mostly it. What up, Lisa? And Stereotherapy.
All right. Episode 8, we talked about the greatest cover songs. Without listening, I couldn't tell you a single song that I mentioned. I'm sure Goldfinger's covers of 99
Let me
Left
get my
Balloons
notes back out. No.
and More Than Yesterday. They covered More Than Yesterday by Spiral Staircase. So um
Hey, I like to note too, back in the Stereotherapy one, Lisa did kind of switch it around on us at the end and was asking us questions about our
yeah,
podcast.
that was
So
interesting. We've had a couple of people ask us a couple of questions, but it was after we got recording. We've
yeah,
had
see, I don't
people
mind.
ask about us.
I don't mind people asking us questions. You
I
know,
know. When are people going to interview us?
yeah, come on, people. Well, come on. We'll
We're
chit
the it
chat.
thing. We're
Mike Herrera, we'll come on your podcast. You want to talk to us again?
yeah.
Greatest cover songs. I mean, I had the Ataris on my list, and then Goldfinger, obviously. 311, I
What?
Prevail,
Wait. What 311
Love Song.
love song?
Yeah, I mean, I had a huge list. The list goes on, my gosh. And of course, a bunch of Our Last Night covers, because they're, to me, they are the cover
Yeah.
kings, whether or not they want to say they are.
Uh, and then we had episode 9, the greatest acoustic songs, and I also reviewed the Offspring show, which that show is still so fresh in my head. That was such a great show. Um, Offspring,
Yeah,
Sum 41, and Simple Plan. That was a
yeah.
great show.
I mean, there's no question about it. My greatest acoustic songs, majority of them were Story of the Year songs. So
With that, let's move on to episode 10. This was our first interview with a band.
yes. And it was a band that I was friends with, like one person in the band.
Yeah. So this
Brian.
was Upstairs on Fire. And I remember being nervous that it was the first actual band interview we had, but I've created a friend out of it. Brian and I are friends now. So what's up, Brian?
Yeah, they're like BFFs now.
We do talk quite a lot. Actually, I asked him a question when I was at a show um, a few weeks ago when I went to the A Day to Remember show. I was like, "What's the deal?" Feels like a bad Seinfeld joke. What's the deal with transition times between sets when you pre-tune before the show? And he gave me a whole rundown. Um,
No, I
what do you
had fun
remember from it?
talking to them. I
Yeah.
mean, I knew Brian from like forever ago, like probably back in like I was probably still in high school.
Hey, they're recording new stuff. We could have them back on.
I know we should. We should have him back on. Brian was the first one to send us our birthday video.
Hey guys, it's Brian from the band Upstairs on Fire, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Chris and Jess from JAMXP on 1 year of awesome interviews and podcasts regarding all things music. Upstairs on Fire had a great time with them last year, and if we're lucky, hopefully they'll have us back again for a follow-up session. Be sure to check them out on Facebook and all streaming platforms, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Until we meet again, guys, happy first birthday. We love you.
And he
What
was
about
all worried
episode?
about he was all worried about what he was looking like too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't
What
know
about
if we're
episode 11?
episode 11, that was bands that progressed and regressed. I
I
don't
don't
remember
remember
exactly
anything.
like
I'm pretty
what
sure I
we
harshed on Fall Out
what did we
Boy a lot.
talk about? Probably. I mean, they did kind of regress. No.
All I'm going to say is that we should progress beyond that episode. That's
Yes.
probably
Yes.
that's probably
I
not a
mean,
good.
episode 12, if we were going to progress along and get away from that episode 11, that was our Halloween one where we just talked about Halloween songs and everything and
And
gothy
we
bands.
also had our first audio edit glitch, the first of many that ended up getting posted to Spotify. Um,
Yes. Yes. We always
whoops.
have problems. I don't know. Spotify gave me a few problems sometimes, and I don't know why.
Seems like every 3 months it gives you some major problem.
I haven't had knock on wood. This desk is fake wood, but whatever.
Knock on compressed composite.
Well, wait,
No,
I
I
might wait, my dresser's right here. That's real wood.
no, I and then I ran into the first uh video editing glitch today when the program just crashed mid edit. So
Yeah.
that was fun. Episode 13, we gave a chance to a topic that was a little confusing with the title. We called it State Champs,
And
where we wanted a
I feel like people might have thought it was a state champs episode.
maybe,
We probably
but
should just get state champs on the podcast.
we should.
State champs
Um,
if you're listening, or if anyone knows anyone in state champs and you're listening, tell them to hit us up. Hit us up.
yeah, we'd love to have them.
Definitely.
But
But we did a state champs episode, yes.
where we said, hey, these are the best bands in our opinion in this
In a certain
respective
state.
state.
Yep.
And I did like Washington or Oregon, or I tried to do Iowa or something, and I had no luck.
I did Washington because I remember where I talked about MXPX because they're big champs. You know, they got the key to that city in Bremerton.
Yeah. What did we do after that? That was, and then we went to in
We
the
had a
arena.
we had another interview with a couple friends of mine that used to be in the band Stutterfly and Secret and Whisper, Jason and Ryan. It was fun catching up with them though during that episode for In the Arena.
So
And
this is where I was actually more nervous for this one because they were previously established and more well-known bands.
right.
So I was more nervous. It was only our second band interview.
Hmm.
I'm sure if we look back or if we listened, we would probably think it was probably a rough episode.
I mean, we had a lot of rough episodes in the beginning. We definitely
We
got
did.
better with age.
When they we're a year older now.
Yep, we're a year old now, so we're definitely a lot better at our year
We're
as we
we've
got
had
older. We
we've
progressed.
we're
We
into
didn't
baby talk
regress.
now.
We
No,
didn't
we
regress. We progressed.
oh. And then from there, episode what
Oh,
am I
the
on? 15.
episode.
This is our
That
first hate
episode.
comment episode, right? I had a great idea to try and listen to bands we used to not like and oh hey, maybe we'll like them now. And great idea conceptually, terrible to execute
It was torture for the most part.
for the most part. Except I did learn that I like new Coheed.
Yep,
So
that's about it. I think I was still at a like a, you know, no on a
you were
lot of
at a
them.
2 across the board on a scale of 1 to 10.
I don't even have my notes for that. I can't believe that.
You hated it that much that you
That
just
I that I must have ripped them out of here and been like,
yeah.
out. Get rid of that note. I don't want that. My notes
So
are not exactly the best, like, kept notes.
and then episode 16.
Oh yeah. That was our, you know, third real interview. Well,
Yep.
fourth real
And we
interview.
had Matt V.
Matt Batiste.
I don't like saying the whole last name. I just say V. Uh and that was our first, I'm going to call it a larger guest. We actually pivoted. We tried a couple times to pivot to influencers, not just direct musical artists coming on. And Matt was the first one to agree and came on, and I'm still convinced it's because he's Canadian. Canadians are just nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Canadians, you're just so nice. So any Canadian bands, if you want to come on the pod, let us know.
but he responded immediately. We got it set up, and I mean, I'm still in touch with him regularly.
See,
So
the interesting thing about that interview was like a lot changed for Matt after that interview.
very shortly after that interview,
Yeah.
a lot changed for Matt. A lot. And it would have
And
been a
now,
completely different interview had we had that 2 weeks later.
right? And now he's got his own podcast.
He's got his own podcast. He's got his own social media group. We should probably do that.
What?
Right. But like a social media group, like a broadcast group.
Oh, well, I mean, we can. Broadcast channel. I did want to start a Discord.
You just said that so nasally. You're like, broadcast channel.
I'm sorry. I'm still getting over being sick.
Oh gosh.
But no, a lot did change for Matt. And if anyone knows who we're talking about, Matt Batiste, he's got R Space Media. So
And
check them out. Check
he's
them
got a
out.
lot. He's got a lot going on. He's a man of many talents, and he
Oh,
seems to know how
yes.
to work it.
He's better
And
at the
then
social media than us. That's for sure.
heck of a lot better. Um, and then episode 17, I would say one of our standout, at least to me, one of our standout interviews,
I think it
right?
was one of our better ones. We were kind of getting a little better at it. And it was our first band interview that we kind of had a little more fun with it, I think,
I think so.
because we were
It
less
was
nervous.
yeah, less nervous. We were a little less rigid.
I think it does help though that like Sam and Kevin were so great.
For sure. For sure. And I'm going to mention once we get to the episode where I changed my style of how I approached the interviews, I'll let everybody know. And then if you go back and watch the videos, let me know if you can tell how I changed my approach to these. But I was still very much get out of here, fly. God. I was still very much rigid, following the checklist of the questions, and I wasn't really deviating off of those. So yeah, with soft spoken, they were great and ended up becoming good friends of the podcast. And of course, I'm never going to forget Kevin doing his shock jock voice for the intro.
Oh yeah. Well, I bring it up all the time too. Randomly, I'll be like, Kevin, where's your shock jock? No,
We
I
should get.
actually that episode we had a glitch on Spotify as well.
I feel like Kevin, if you're listening, you should find a way to monetize that shock jock voice.
Yeah. Monetize it. You want to be our opening like credits for our podcast? Can shock jock us? And I really want to know if like Sam could ever actually meet Scott Stapp in life.
I hope so.
Not just think he might have seen him.
Yo, what's up? Soft spoken here from this really dirty apartment room. Congratulations, JAMXP, on turning 1. We had a good time hanging out with Jess and Chris and Kevin. It was pretty cool. They're rad people. Check out our interview and plenty more. And don't forget, you gotta follow them and subscribe to them. YouTube, their socials. I mean it.
After soft spoken, we took a week. I think at this point I was just playing with the video editing because we hadn't started doing YouTube stuff just yet, but we had the idea. And so we started looking at different video software. So we kind of sort of took a week off and we did our free for all, which we had kind of banked prior to
Yep.
the interviews. And we just talked about everything. I remembered some sort of stupid, ridiculous question at some point. I don't remember what it was, but I remember that was a ridiculous question. Um,
I think we laughed a lot in that one because it was just random stuff we wanted to get off our
yeah,
chests
yeah.
and our
And
heads.
by the time we posted it, I'm pretty sure a lot of what we talked about was old news. Because
Probably.
we talked about upcoming tours, but we had it banked for like 3 or 4 weeks. So
Eh, it is what it is, right?
yeah. Um, and then we had episode 19. Uh, it was Chris from HipV, right?
Yep. Chris from Hidden in Plainview.
HipV, and it was the first interview we that I remember doing, or know that we had done with a band that I'd seen live. So it was a little bit of a different feel because I had seen Hidden in Plainview live many years ago. So it felt different doing that
Yeah.
interview.
Well, I mean,
Um,
I'd also been friends with Chris on like Facebook for years. And he's always like, "Oh, yeah, you. I know you."
it was also the first interview we had where first and only, right, where there was no video feed.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the video version of that episode will not be released because it will not be interesting.
We would just have to put a picture of Chris right there and it wouldn't be as fun.
And to be fair, we didn't mention back then that we do video and audio, and doing video wasn't a thing back then either. Most other guests prior just joined on video. Now it's different. Now we tell everybody we do an audio and video version. So
Well, I mean, if you check us out, you definitely know we're doing video now because we have our YouTube channel. So, and we got a lot of teaser videos out. So, I mean, I'd
yeah,
hope people are checking us out prior to coming on the podcast.
I think most
But
guests have mentioned they do.
yeah, most of them, unless they have like a publicist, and then they probably didn't because they gave it
Right.
that's their publicist job.
Hey, this is Chris from the band Hidden in Plain View, and I'm wishing JAMXP podcast a happy 1 year anniversary. I had a great time on the podcast, and I wish you many years of luck and success. Signing off. Peace out.
Episode 20 was our thankful episode for Thanksgiving. I don't remember a dang thing from that episode.
I don't think we talked a ton about stuff on that one. How long was that episode? That was only a 44-minute one.
Only 40 only. You're saying only
So we
44
must have
minutes.
talked about some stuff.
Yeah,
Oh.
for sure. We definitely talked about music we were thankful for discovering, and
Oh yeah.
probably I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't remember anything.
I can't find my notes. That's
Now, I do want to mention um this was the last I'm going to say planned episode where it wasn't an interview. We have released a couple after this, but they were banked. And we kind of planned on banking a couple. So I do remember the thankfulness episode, and then what was it? Songs and movies,
yes.
and then bands we wished were still around.
Yes.
We banked those episodes because of the holidays. So by the time those were released, they were already like 2 or 3 months old to us.
Oh yeah.
Um,
We stacked some episodes because we knew we were gonna have holiday.
we did stack episodes. So, and that was actually the last time. So like November, early November, not the band, but like early November of 2023 was the last time we sat down and recorded an episode like this one
Yeah.
where we weren't interviewing somebody.
I think we need to get the early November on here now.
I'm down. That'd be a great one.
That would be drive through. Gotta get all the drive through bands on. I bet we can get homegrown.
Let's go for it.
Let's do it. Let's just have a drive through episode where like we have multiple drive through bands come on the pod.
That would be sweet.
Wouldn't that be fun? Let's try and figure that one out. Let's do it.
All right, and then we got episode 21. We have When the Sun Sets. Correct me if I'm wrong. This was the second interview we had done where it was via an artist we found on social media. Or is When the Sun Sets a band you discovered in the homework episode?
When the Sun Sets, I think I had discovered because Lisa from Stereotherapy had him on.
Gotcha.
And I think I was like, hey, could you help us out and help us reach Zach and everything? And Lisa helped us out and gave us a good repertoire, I guess. I don't know. Is that what you call it?
Well, either way, thanks, Lisa.
Thanks,
Uh,
Lisa.
I don't remember much from the episode. Honestly, the When the Sun Sets and our next episode, they blur together for me. I don't know
I
why.
remember When the Sun Sets had audio issues
Yeah.
because
No,
we thought it was like a fan or something, but it wasn't. It was just like something just kept clicking and sounding weird. But it happens.
and then we had episode 22, Sundressed. Now them you did find on the homework episode.
Yes.
I know that for sure because you mentioned, and I just had the thought because we talked a lot about mental health. Isn't this the episode where we tried that one? We only did it for one episode where we did the game. Is it from New York or Wisconsin?
I think it is.
I think it was so awkward.
Was it though? Or I thought it was someone actually from New York area.
No, it was either When the Sun Sets or Sundressed. It was one of the two.
Or was it Chicago? Wisconsin or Chicago? I don't know.
Wisconsin or New York.
I don't remember. I don't feel like Trevor would have played that game. I feel like Zach would have played that game. I think it was Zach. I think it was When the Sun Set.
I can't remember.
I don't know. I'm trying to see if I had it in the notes, but I don't think we did.
So
Yeah.
episode 23.
Wait. A
What?
little bit of fun trivia at the end, and that's When the Sun Sets.
Ooh, nice.
See,
I
I did
wouldn't call
have it. I did have it. It was
I
trivia.
wouldn't call it
sorta.
fun trivia.
We tried to do that, but then now we just turned it into like random questions.
Yeah. It's a little more fun than
It's
who's
easier.
got the biggest whatever in the state.
Plus, it's less work for us.
Yeah. Episode 23, still one of my favorite episodes to this day. We got Fetters in Use, the Russian shoegaze band.
It was a very interesting episode for
It
sure.
was, and we did it early in the morning. So with them being from Russia, we signed in it was 8 a.m. your time.
I think 8 or 9, something like that.
I think it was 9 my time. And we did the interview. At that point, we had 30 minutes between our next interview with someone from the UK. But what I remember is just all the stories and the quintessential Russian humor that we got from them. It was great. And of course, the story of the bassist.
Oh, yes. The bassist where he got kicked out of the band mid-set.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a story that sticks in. I also remember them talking about like the Russian underground and everything.
Yeah. And like the state of like the Russian underground music. It pretty much doesn't exist from what they say.
Pretty much.
Doesn't.
Because it's not supposed to exist.
Yeah.
Because it's Russia. The funny thing too in the beginning was like, oh, we can't joke about that, but then we kind of joked about it.
Yeah, it was a great episode, and not to spoil anything about that episode, if you haven't listened to it, we did let them preview questions that we had written out and planned on doing, just so current world affairs, we didn't want it to be questionable or any surprises. So they were well aware of what we were going to ask ahead of time. It also
They
helped
made
with
sure
the language barrier.
They were well aware as well.
Right. So, but great people. If you haven't checked out that episode, definitely still highly recommend that one. And I absolutely love their anniversary message they sent us.
Hey there, Elder Emos, Chris and Jess. Nice to be talking to you again.
And everybody who's watching and listening. We are Fetters in Use.
From St. Petersburg, Russia.
We had a great time with you guys at the podcast and we wish you a happy anniversary.
Yeah, we hope that you will keep this project going for a long time. And thank you so much for doing an episode with us as guests. It was great fun. We'd love to talk to you again someday. Wish you all the best.
The next one that we did was episode 24, which we did the same day, but it
Same
came
day,
out a prior week.
about 45 minutes apart.
Yeah. That one was with Kite Thief from the UK, which we had on Sam and Zach. Yeah, Sam and Zach.
Props to you for remembering names because I can barely remember the band names.
I try to remember people's names. I mean, they are in my notes on my Spotify too. Sam and Zach. But I didn't look at those till now just to make sure that I remember the right names.
Yeah, I just remember we had hoped that the lead singer would come on because around this time I think we took a pivot toward finding female fronted bands for a little bit. And I
We
think
did. We were like, oh, we have had a lot of male fronted bands. Like we need a female on.
and she wasn't able to join, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, she did not join. But we still had a lot of fun talking with Sam and Zach. I mean, I it was our first British band, so I was all like, accents. How I love the accents.
And
But I mean,
I'll never be able to have a British band on and not reference Peppa Pig. I can't avoid it.
I'm pretty sure we talked about the weather in the beginning of that episode too.
Every episode. You don't have
Yeah,
to wonder if we talked about
we always
episode.
talk
We
about the
for sure
weather.
did.
It's definitely a Midwest thing.
It's an everywhere thing, I think.
I don't know. I remember they were saying how they're more like pop metal.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess I definitely see that. And I really wish they would come over here so we could see them live, right?
That'd be great.
And they were also we talked about mosh pits and stuff too.
We did, and I definitely asked them if they knew of Hot Milk. And I think they were like, yeah, we're pretty sure they're like an industry band, but
Then we got on to episode 25, which was our songs and movies and everything. And we just, talked about songs and movies. And there was a lot more than I thought.
a lot of Sugar Cult. I
lot of
remember
Sugar
mentioning
Cult.
like, especially because Van Wilder was so big to me and such like a monumental movie in high school that for sure like Sugar Cult from Van Wilder and
Yeah. And there was a lot more in American Pie than I realized.
yeah.
So everyone just, watch Van Wilder and American Pie and it'll bring you back to the early 2000s.
Those movies don't hold up well at all.
What are you talking about? Van Wilder is still a classic.
Van Wilder is pretty good, but okay.
And then episode 26, we decided to have on another pivot, like we were like, oh, let's have a comedian on.
Yeah, and I thought it went pretty well. The episode wasn't watched a lot, which is too bad because
It's a really good episode.
It was a great episode. And we talk about like the crossover between music and comedy and how timing affects everything. We even got into the Cinnamon Toast Crunch Wrap, which we learned they did not put like 200 gallons of milk in the tub for the video. But
mostly water.
Mostly water and like 2 gallons of milk or something like that, I think he said.
If you haven't listened to this episode or watched this episode, because we did post the video on YouTube, you should do so for sure.
For sure, one of the I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, one of like the better episodes to watch, and it's short. It was one of our shorter episodes, so
it was 56 minutes long.
Oh, really? I remember us being on a time crunch, and I think he said he only had 30 minutes, and then we
45,
ran long.
I think.
Oh,
but we still got him to go a little longer.
Yeah, it's honestly still though great episode.
It is a great episode, and I mean, we talked about boy bands and everything too.
Talk about boy bands and all the other musical influences, and I'm pretty sure there was some story of the year talk, and there was a lot.
No, I don't think there was story of the year talk because Marcus wasn't really into story of the year that I remember. He was very much so into the matches. And I know Marcus is planning it coming to Chicago for the matches anniversary show. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. So
get a video of you too.
I'm gonna try. I'll be like Marcus. Gotta get a picture.
Recreate the CTC rap.
Oh God, no.
All right, and then we got episode 27, which was the failsafe. Now, I'm going to admit we invited them on because my Instagram feed got flooded with their sponsored messages. And normally, as I scroll, my phone is on mute, and I'm like, okay, finally, let me see what they're about. I unmuted it, and I like the music. Surprise!
Surprise.
So we reached out to them and invited them on.
Yep, and we
And
had Jesse and Devin come on the pod.
it was a very quick turnaround that they agreed to come on. And
We talked a long time with them. It was an hour and 34 minutes long.
now here's the sad thing: I don't remember much from the interview.
No?
I remember the lead up. I remember finding them, us talking about it, us conversing about like the music itself, and I remembered nothing about the interview.
I remember the stories and the 4 911 calls.
Oh, that was them? I couldn't remember who
Yes.
that was.
Yes. That was Jesse because I remember the snake story the most, and I kind of still give him crap about it every now and then. Like they'll do lives on Instagram, and I'll just jump on in there, and I'll be like blah 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 blah, and then I'll be like snake emoji. I won't let them live it down. If I come see them at a show, I might just have to bring a fake snake.
So
But
episode
those 911 calls though, if you haven't listened to that episode, you should, because those 4 stories that we got told were hilarious.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen because I feel bad that I don't remember an hour and a half long episode.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
the next one, I'll let you take the lead on the next one.
episode 28, Shane told of Silverstein. This was like, I want to say this was one of like my hopeful guests that we would ever have on the podcast. And once we had a few of these interviews in our pocket, I actually had already reached out to him. I think after it must have been like after In the Arena. No. Yeah, I think it was after the In the Arena episode. Um that I reached out. I'm like, we've interviewed 2 bands at this point. Like, we can interview Shane. And I had previously established communication with him years ago over the River Oaks side project he had worked. And I reached back out to him via that email thread, letting him know that, hey, now I've got a podcast, wondering if you'd want to come on. And he responded very quickly and said, actually, we're busy through the end of the year. Let me know in January, get back with us. And then January hit. I emailed him a day or two into January, and we were recording a week later. It was very quick.
Well, January 23rd is when the episode went out, but yeah, it was pretty quick turnaround with Shane as well.
Yeah. And I will say my only regret on having him on when we did is that we didn't have more experience, and I didn't change how I approached my interview style yet. Because I think it would have been a better episode.
Hey, you know what though? Shane said we were fantastic.
He did.
So, you
So
know,
what would we be now? If we were fantastic back then, what would we be
amazing.
now?
I don't know. I don't know. I just remember Shane making fun of how I said the word challenges. So
Yeah, challenges.
And he was mocking me, but it was all in good fun. Yep. And I still remember him talking about how people like thought Shane Told was like a stage name.
A stage name.
Like it's for Shane Toldathansky. Yes, people, it's Shane Toldathansky. That's totally what it says on Wikipedia.
Oh boy.
But no, Shane was fun, and I really liked having Shane on. He actually, remember, he was all like, oh, I can only have 45 minutes or something like that. And yeah, we talked him into staying longer because we were so awesome.
I know. Like, no, Shane, you just said we were fantastic, so let's keep this ball rolling.
He said because he was actually having fun, he stayed.
So thanks, Shane. If you're listening, you should come on again.
Yeah, now you'll have more to talk about because you guys are writing new music.
Okay. And then we got episode 29. I think this is our last, if I'm not mistaken, this was our last banked episode.
I think so, maybe.
And this was used, so this was bands we wish were still around. We had recorded this in early November. And so this is at this point 2.5 months later that we post it. And
January, yeah.
we used it to give me time to edit all the past video interviews. Once Shane's interview hit, we decided let's make a YouTube for the videos. So we posted Shane's, and then for the next 2 weeks, we released an interview almost every single day on our YouTube channel to post our backlog. So this episode was used as a placeholder to actually give me time to focus on video editing, 10-ish interviews?
Something like that.
Yeah. And of course, I want June back.
Well, yeah. And I wish Matchbook Romance was around still.
Same.
A lot of people wish that. So if anyone, wants to bug Matchbook Romance, bug them. Tell them, be like, hey, get your crap together. Get back out there. Put a show or two on. I'll travel for that one.
That'd be a great show.
I mean, they're from like, aren't they from like Murfreesboro? Or something like that? Or Poughkeepsie?
Weren't they from Long Island?
Or something? I don't remember.
I think it might have been Poughkeepsie.
It might have been Poughkeepsie.
One of my friends from high school's cousin was in the band, and he does like IT security something or other, and I think he's in Vermont or New Hampshire or something now.
I know it was a weirder like town name. So I think it was Poughkeepsie, possibly. I'd have to Google it, and I'm not Googling it right now.
Neither am I.
But I'll travel.
Our next interview, episode 30.
Yes, that was Drive from Nashville. We had all three of the guys on.
I was going to say, I think this was the first time we had all band members present.
I think so. It was Alex, Gavin, and Philip.
Yeah. And so we had all three. That was my standout moment from it. Honestly, the fact that we had the whole band with us for once.
I think we're getting close to the episode that we started doing like a different view for our episodes.
We did.
Because before we had everyone tiled up, and it kind of became a lot when we had that many. And we decided it became a lot when we had that many.
Actually, it might have been on the same episode, which is the next one, where I changed my interview style and approach.
Might have been. But with Drive, that was good. I mean, we did talk about like a lot of different stuff because we didn't really know a lot about them.
No, because there wasn't much information for us to dig into either.
I know there wasn't a lot on the internet either. They don't do a ton of stuff all the time either, like some bands. But I do remember them talking about like their music video got a lot of hate comments. And that was kind of fun to hear some of the hate comments. But they were like, go check out our video. You can go read all the comments.
So, episode 31, this is where I changed my approach. Instead of just looking at the checklist of questions we wanted to ask, I tried to change my approach to be a lot more conversational. If there was something that was being said where I was interested and want to go down that alley, I allowed us to kind of explore that alley. So this is Hector of Indigo. And this was probably one of our longest interviews. I think
an hour and 35 minutes.
Yes, but that was cut down. I'm pretty sure we cut down at least 30 minutes out of that.
Maybe. I don't think it went that long.
I think we were recording until about 10:30 at night.
I don't know. I'd have to look back at the original file.
So regardless, I changed my approach, and that did lead to some interesting conversations. Hector sure had a lot to say. I enjoyed hearing him talk about his perspective. I keep looking at my microphone instead of like the camera like a normal person. But I really liked hearing his philosophies and outlook on life, and kind of like just taking what life gives you and making the best of it. It was refreshing to me. And I think I actually needed that conversation at that time.
Hector's definitely a very, very passionate person when it comes to life, and of course the band Indigo. He was a very enlightening conversation for sure.
It was. But yeah, maybe we can have him back on if, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he did talk about aliens too. We did have a little bit of talk about aliens.
Talking about aliens, that's my favorite.
It's your boy Hector with Indigo. Just want to drop by, congratulate JAMXP on turning 1. Congratulations, y'all, and thank you so much for having me on y'all's show. Y'all don't forget to subscribe to all their socials. Thank y'all so much again. They are incredible people, and they show tons of love. So show them some love. Peace.
So episode 32. I got to move on from the aliens because I'm gonna get stuck on it. We have Mike Herrera.
Yes. This was one that actually surprised Chris. He was all like, I'm just going to give it a shot and I'm going to message Mike Herrera. And he wrote back and Chris was like, are you kidding me? Did you just get Mike Herrera? I was like, I guess. But he said he'd come on and he was really great. I think we got him to stay longer as well.
Yeah, we talked for a while and it really wasn't bad. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm not trying to diminish anyone else's presence on our podcast. Probably one of the like more professional approaches, like the way that like the questions he asked beforehand, and like just like follow through and everything. Like
he's been doing this a lot of years.
Such a great guy. Like it was such a great interview, great guy, great approach. It was. I'm so glad I changed my interview process prior to us having him on there too.
Well,
in a way
he's
that
been
I
around.
wish.
They've been around 30 years, so I would hope that Mike's a professional.
But you don't picture the punk rock guys of the 90s and early aughts to be like that.
MXPX is his business.
Yeah,
runs his
that's
business.
True.
Got to be professional. Although we did talk about bidets.
Right at the top of the episode too. So if you haven't listened to that one, definitely do. It's a great episode. Talking about everything from bidets to looking for a
Spiders.
house on reality TV.
Yes, HGTV and spiders.
Oh dear.
Yes. Thanks, Mike, for coming on. You're welcome back anytime. We won't talk about bidets.
Or maybe
Unless
we will if you want to.
And then our next episode that we had.
You want me to talk about this one?
Yes.
Because I love them.
Because they 100%. Are just...
Hey, big shout out to the JAMX podcast. They turned 1 year. That's a huge feat. Congratulations, you guys. I was on episode 32 talking about the new MXPX album, Find a Way Home, and a bunch of other stuff. It was a lot of fun. So thanks for having me on. Make sure you give them a follow.
Episode 33 was Senses. We found Senses. Something is in my dang eye.
Well, tell it to get out.
Get out. Ooh, and listen. Senses actually. So I found Senses through my wife. She was on social media and she must have found one of their posts and she sent it to me. She was like, next podcast question mark. And I listened to that. I'm like, oh, this is actually really good. And it must have been Sleepwalking because they pushed that song hard. And I'm like, oh, heck yeah. And then I listened to everything else they had released at that point. I'm like, they're really good. And so I sent it over to you. And you're like, yeah, I guess.
I really liked him. And when I started researching him more, and I was like, oh, I gave it a listen. But then I was like, ah, sure, why not?
So I set it up and absolutely love them as people too. Like very down to earth. And I love the fact that they met each other on Craigslist. I really want to know what that ad said, like verbatim. And talking about
still up.
Probably not.
If you never deleted it, it might still be up.
And then talking about everything wrong with their RV.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure we went into like so many.
I know I talked to Madison about Wisconsin stuff.
Yeah.
Because she's originally from here, so.
Well, did you see they went up to the camp?
Oh yeah.
Up north?
Yeah.
And they posted and Nick went with them and
I think she's gone back multiple times because she's been posting on social media and I'm like, hey, that kind of looks like northern Wisconsin.
But no, I absolutely loved it. I drove, 4.5 hours to Philly to go see them when they toured with Charlotte Sands, and I may low-key have a Senses tattoo planned out. So,
no,
love
low-key.
Love them.
Who's gonna design it for you?
Me.
Oh,
I've
You
already got the idea. I just got to pass it on to the artist to draw it up. So
look at that. Getting a tat.
poet and you know it. You can introduce the next one. This was
Yeah, episode 34. This was the one that I really wanted to get on because I have had loved this band for like years, like since like 2015. And then like they came back into the scene and I was like, "Oh my gosh, can we get them on?" And I tried messaging them months ago and got no response. And then all of a sudden I got a random response and I was like, "Oh, well, we're making this happen." But that was Fort Hope. Jonathan, the singer, came on, and they're another band from the UK. And yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation. Jonathan's very, very humble and very down to earth person.
yeah, it was a great convo. I'd like to have him back on too. The okay, this is gonna sound weird. The one thing that really sticks out is his cable management.
Yes, I was going to mention that you were obsessed with his cord collection.
I was like, wow, you are really good at organizing all those cables. Um, and then after the fact, like after we cut recording, we were talking about how I'm from Liverpool, New York, and he likes the Liverpool football team. And I was like, I could get some high school hoodies from over here and send them to you. He never got back to me. I would have sent it over, but he never got back to me. So, Jonathan, you still want them? Hit me up.
Hit him up. I do remember we talked too about like when he was in a different band. He wasn't the singer in this band, but like the singer got beat up for like jumping on a drum
Yeah,
kit
yeah,
at a show. Some of the stuff that happens in the UK.
yeah. There's some great stories that come out of those UK
Yeah.
interviews.
I love some of the UK ones. They're some of my favorites. And then number 35. This
The
was
home
actually one
team.
of our bigger episodes.
It was, and I believe you reached out to them. I think you found them and reached out. But if you've heard us reference multiple things from this interview, if you listen to it, we got the 45-pound mutt tour. We got 80-year-old grandma,
Yep.
random grandma on the street from this episode. This was a great, I think it was a very great episode. We talked everything from dogs to um, the farewell show to issues.
Yeah.
So
And we met Daisy.
we did meet Daisy.
We met Daisy. Daisy didn't want to be part of the interview though.
Oh.
Yeah, they had a lot of van breakdown stories too.
Mm-hmm.
That we've come to the conclusion though, in a lot of the interviews we've done, when we ask about stories, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you want to hear when we broke down?" Because apparently that happens a lot, and I'm sure it does. But there's got to be some juicier stories that you can share, people. Come on now.
Gotta be.
But
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe someone should start a new business where they maintain a fleet of vans and they call it Band Van. So these vans stop freaking breaking down.
maybe they should. But yes, go check out the home team episode if you haven't yet. It is one of our better viewed and listened to episodes.
Yeah. And then apparently I lied. We had one more stashed episode.
We
Again,
did.
this is still from November. And when was this episode released?
This one,
Yeah.
March.
Okay. So we recorded this episode in November. We released it in March. It was the top 10 albums of 2005.
Hey, but that doesn't go out of style because it wasn't like time sensitive information.
Right. I don't remember why we sat on it.
I think
I
we
know
just forgot about it because we got busy interviewing people.
probably. And it probably gave us a little bit of a break. Because for a while we had one or two guests on a week, and planning that, doing the questions, editing the video, you're editing the audio, it became a lot for a little bit. So
We did have like 1 month where we had like 7 different people on the podcast
yeah.
in a month.
Yeah. If anyone's listening at this point, as we're all the way through these episodes, I sure hope so. We actually took almost 2 months off from recording.
Yeah.
We made one break in that, so it was like May 21st,
I don't know.
whenever we had Josh from Story of the Year. Until right now, it is currently July 2nd. We did not record. We broke it for our previous guest before this episode. We broke it for Sam Tabor, who said he would come on, and I didn't feel right being like, oh, actually, I know we asked, but we're on a recording hiatus for another 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It felt a little weird, so we did break our recording hiatus to interview him, but
Squeeze him in.
we took a break a little bit from recording, just to rest our brains.
But yeah, back to episode 36. That was our top albums of 2005, which I know I mentioned Story of the Year and Wake of Determination, Motion City Soundtrack, Commit This to Memory, and even Goldfinger Disconnection Notice.
Disconnection Notice was great. I probably mentioned June If You Speak Any Faster, and probably Discovering the Waterfront by Silverstein.
Yeah, I think you did. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure you probably did.
Any more than that, I couldn't tell you.
No, that was a while ago.
And episode 37, it's not Davin.
No, it's not Davin, it's Dawn. The two V's are a W. For some reason, we thought it was Davin, and I'm sure we're not the only ones that have thought that.
We did think it was Davin for a little while, but no, it's Dawn.
We did our research and we realized that before we had our interview.
Yeah. This was a fun episode to me. I really liked talking with McCall and I'm forgetting his name. Mike, I knew it. I don't know, and just their love of early 2000s nostalgia makes it really fun. In getting to talk with them. And
oh yeah.
I'm hoping we'll be able to get them back on. Honestly, I know they've posted about trying, like on social media, trying to put a tour together.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we can get them back on.
They did mention to me November when I said Milwaukee, and they were like November. So they might be trying to make it to
maybe
Wisconsin
a winter tour
in November, like fall tour probably. I wouldn't want to travel in the winter up in the Midwest. We know how that goes.
We do, others don't.
Others don't get that. We warn you, don't do it.
No, don't come to Syracuse between December and I don't know, early April.
Yeah. I mean, talking with them, it was fun just because we talked about MySpace and everything and talked about sidekicks.
We tried pulling up our old MySpaces and
we did a lot of fun things during that interview.
That was a very fun episode.
It brought me back. I even have a lava lamp at work now. Because I was like, one came in, I'm like, I'm gonna put this up on my desk.
I wonder how the nostalgia room is coming together.
Oh, it's got to be close to being done, man. I don't know if you guys are listening. Tell us how that nostalgia room's looking. I want an update.
Hey, this is McCall.
And this is Mike from Dawn.
Congrats on 1 year of JAMXP.
Can you believe it? You guys rule. Keep killing it.
Cannot wait to meet you guys in person.
All right. And then we got, I'll let you take this one, episode 38.
Episode 38. I think we came across Long Live the Lights off of like Facebook, off of all the like sponsored ads or something, but they were just doing a lot of,
No, they commented the Shane video.
Oh, was it
They
that?
found us.
Oh, they did find us. And then I think I started talking to Andre because he's pretty much the one that runs like their Instagram stuff, and found out he's like a super Story of the Year fan. So we became Story of the Year best friends. and talked a lot about Story of the Year on the side. And Chris got irritated. So that's when I think I created my JAMXP Jess profile to like take the conversation elsewhere because Chris was sick of getting notifications.
Well, it's okay. I completely disabled Instagram notifications now. But no, I remember us talking about the Shane Told question, and Andre's like, yeah, that was a little awkward.
Oh, yeah, because it's emo seasoning.
I just pictured the Salt Bay, like, with the emo seasoning.
He regrets saying that part. But yeah, no, I mean, it was fun, because, I mean, I had been talking before. I've been talking to Andre on, like, Instagram for weeks prior to this interview, so it was like we were already buddies. So you kind of probably were the odd man out.
Seems to happen a lot.
I don't know. Hey, we did find out though they were the second band that kind of got together through Craigslist.
Yeah. And this was also the second time we had the entire band.
Yes.
Well, no, because Dawn is two people.
Well, yeah,
and
they're
Senses
two
is two
people.
people. So
I mean, entire band that's like larger than two people.
okay. Semantics.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed our conversation with Long Live Lights.
Same.
I really enjoyed that they didn't get catfished trying to find Spotify studios when they worked with Aaron Sprinkle. They had some good stories.
What's up, everyone? We are Long Live the Lights. We want to wish JAMXP a very happy birthday. Chris and Jess were the very first people to reach out to us from their podcast and give us an opportunity to share our story with the world. So we want to say thank you so much. Make sure to give them a follow. They are on all social media platforms. Happy birthday!
Woo!
Episode 39, we have Love Lost.
Yeah, this is a band that we didn't find. This was brought to us by
This is brought to
a
us.
contact
So
we have.
I'll give a shout out to the contact. James.
Forgetting his name. James.
No, it's James. And I really appreciate him bringing all these bands to us. I've actually not checked the email address that he has messaged me on previously in like a month or two.
Uh-oh.
So I gotta check that out and see what's going on. If he has anything for us. But the Love Lost was brought to us from James at You're the Rat and Savior Management. And I just remember talking about American food and candy and that kind of stuff with them. And I know we were talking about the Burn Bright video with the candle.
Yes.
Like,
are you sure we talked about candy with them and not Kite Thief?
We talked about it with everybody, I'm pretty sure.
I know that Kite Thief, we talked about like cereal.
Yeah.
And we were going to send them cereal, but it would have costed a fortune and probably would have gotten stuck at customs.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, no. And I remember, because we're like, well, did you get in the circle of candles and then they were lit? Or did you have to weasel your way?
Yes, we did talk a lot about the candles. But it was like interesting conversation about candles. And we did have one of those when we do our fun questions. I remember we talked and we were like, if you were like a mythical creature or something, I remember he was like, it would be a bad demon, but a demon that's bad at being bad. Like an apologetic demon.
Like, I have to do this. I'm really sorry.
But it's a demon that doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I remember too, we actually cut recording and then asked Tobias what he did for a living. And we found out he was a tattoo artist. So if anyone is listening to this episode, you know, like Tobias in Love Lost, he's actually a tattoo artist as well. So if you need a tattoo and you're in the UK, hit him up.
Yeah, we've gotten better at not. I'll say we got a little better at not cutting the recording when we're going to ask a little more off the cuff stuff. We've kind of added it to our notes at the end. There's been a couple times where we've done that, but for the most part, we're better about that now. You know, what that was like 20 weeks ago in episodes. We've gotten better.
We have definitely gotten better.
Right there, guys. Anthony here from Love Lost. Just want to wish a happy first birthday to the JAMX podcast. Thank you, Jess and Chris, for having us on. It was a great episode with Tobias and Sam. Lots of good chat. For those who are watching, make sure you support these guys just by following them, subscribing them on their YouTube channel. These guys do some awesome stuff and support small artists as well. Keep up the good work, guys. Love what you're doing. Hope you have a good day. Peace.
A little bit for our next guest.
Yeah. Episode 40.
Yep. And that was Letter Kills.
Letter Kills. Coming back at you. They're coming back. They're making it back. Coming back. The best is yet to come, according to Kyle during our interview.
Yeah. So it was definitely different. This was the first, I'll say, like a former major mainstay in the scene that has now come back that we had on the podcast. So
Yes.
it was an interesting conversation. I loved finding out that when they were younger, they didn't know anything about each other, but they're traveling in the van together. And then they have this conversation years later, like, oh, that's where you're from?
Well, yeah, years later when they started getting back together and they wanted to start Let Her Kill back up, I mean, yeah. And he was like, whoa, that you didn't know anything about each other back then, but now you're learning all these new things because you've matured and you're older now. And you actually want to know about your bandmates, you know? Yeah, that was a fun conversation. And they did say they would play Cincinnati.
Yeah. We should make a list or a roster of bands who said they would play Cincinnati.
I think we're up to like 5.
And then we should hit them up and make it happen.
Be like, hey, soft spoken, we're making this happen.
uh we can list the bands that we think we remember saying that at the end, because I think that'd be fun.
Yes.
Episode 41. This is where we learned the band name Giant Walker is not like a walker an old person uses with tennis
No.
balls on the bottom. It's not a big one of those. No, they are literally walking a giant.
Yes. I remember like I did like the story on how they came up with the name. Like they were kind of like thinking mythical creatures. But then like I forget who it was, like was it their drummer
I think so.
that had the idea of like, "Oh no, how about this little girl walking this giant?" And then they just call it Giant Walker. But I do remember having a conversation and I was talking when we were talking to Steph and Jamie that I was like, I honestly, the first thing I heard when he said a giant walker, I was like a giant old person walker. And I wasn't the only one. Steph kind of had that thought too.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that she had that thought as well.
But that was a good conversation too.
Yes. Another good conversation from another UK band.
Wishing JAMXP an awesome first birthday. Me and Jamie had a great time chatting with Jess and Chris a few months ago. Be sure to go check out the interview if you haven't already, and make sure to give their socials a follow while you're there.
42, well, that was we had Johnny on from Wildfires Project. Yeah, this one was, I think we had a hard time getting in contact with Johnny, but then we were super glad we got to get him on the pod because you actually were sick the first time and we had to reschedule this one.
Yeah, I was sick and we rescheduled and he was like, no, it's cool. And he was very responsive with us. All I remember thinking during this episode, as he kind of talked about everything he's worked on, he's a very hardworking guy. Like
Oh,
he
yes.
really puts everything he has into whatever he's working on.
And he works for a church too, so
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And I remember we were talking and I was like, oh, he mentioned that his wife was gluten-free. And I was like, oh, well, I'm gluten-free.
Yeah, every single time it comes up somehow that somebody is gluten-free, and then y'all go on a tangent for 15 minutes. Like,
Hey, I like to talk to some more people like me.
I edited at least 15 minutes of that out from the Josh Story of the Year episode.
You did, I'm sure. Although Wildfires Project, we still need to discuss this with Johnny, our emo love TV show.
Oh yeah, we really do.
We don't want
It's
someone
such a
stealing
great-
this, man.
No,
It's probably gone already. Someone's already on it.
probably. And now we're putting it out there again.
We're putting it out there again. Yep. Johnny, if you're listening to this, emo love TV show, we need to talk about this.
Hey, you know what? Even if we made it a YouTube show, we
Yeah.
don't need some big media person behind us. We can manage this.
Let's
I
just
keep
make it a
looking at
whole-
the stupid microphone.
Stop looking at it.
Um,
It's not a camera. We can just make this a whole social media thing. The emo love.
Yeah.
Not you talking to your microphone.
No, I needed to pause me talking so the microphone picked up the
This is Johnny from the Wildfires Project. I just want to give a congratulations to the team at JAMXP for 1 year of great podcasting. Make sure you give them a follow and subscribe to them on YouTube.
All right. After Wildfires, we had Dennis from Alisana.
Alisana. Not Alisana.
And
it's Alisana.
I think my favorite thing was just learning, like, he's met other people. Microphone. He's met other people named Alisana. We were going to name my older son Alisana if he was a girl. And he's like, oh yeah, and all the Alisanas I've met are pretty rad. That and the story of the licking.
The little German boy.
The little German boy.
Ah, yes. And this was episode 43.
Oh, I didn't mention the episode? Oh yeah,
No,
43.
You did not.
Listen, all of our episodes have a number and who we talk to.
We did a lot of nerding out, for sure.
We did.
On this
we talked
episode.
Magic the Gathering.
We talked about how much the one record was going for eBay. $700.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a good one. I think it was a long conversation too. Wasn't that one a longer one? Yeah, but it was over an hour.
Yeah. But that was a pretty
definitely
good one.
Listen to this one, people. And Dennis was a very fun person to talk to.
And I do want to say at this point, we're on episode 43. We've interviewed. I specifically remember this one because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's somebody that I looked up to, music wise, back then. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to be interviewing. Around this time is when those jitters pre-interview went away for me. I don't know if you still get them at all. But I definitely used to be nervous or more nervous than I was. And now before we're sitting down with somebody, it doesn't affect me like it used to.
Yeah, I don't know when that was. I feel like it happened way before then. I was like not super nervous. Like I was slightly nervous with some stuff, like some people, but then it was like it kind of goes away pretty quickly during the episode, during the interview.
I'm sure it went away before then. I'm just saying this is the first time I noticed it went away. But yeah.
Crazy to think that our episode 43 is where
I
noticed.
Realized. Yeah.
That's a long way in.
And I don't remember feeling that way for Letter Kills, now that I think about it.
I didn't feel like that with them, but I've known them for years,
Yeah. I'm
whether or not they remember me from years ago, I do not recall, but
I think maybe Mike Herrera. So episode 32 might be one of the last ones I felt that way. Is right around when I changed my approach, if I'm being honest.
All I know is I was super nervous for that Mike Herrera one. You could tell.
Yeah, go back and watch. You can, especially at the beginning.
Oh yes,
you can see it in your
face.
I
definitely screwed it up.
All good.
I was fangirling a little too, so
Episode, what are we on?
44. Inconsistent me.
Okay. This is going to sound bad. This was one of the most recent ones. I don't remember anything from the interview.
You don't remember anything?
I know it's just him. And I remember, okay, this is going to sound bad like I'm harping on him. He was fidgeting a lot.
I think he was nervous because he hadn't done an interview in a while.
I do remember that now that you mentioned it. He said
he did say he was good practice for him because he hadn't done one in a while.
Yep.
But yeah, we talked about trains. Because we were talking about, when we asked him one of his questions, we tried to do an icebreaker question in the beginning of this one. And we were like, oh, secret lair, what would you bring into it? And then he said he wants a train car in his secret lair. And then we got talking about how he really likes trains.
Yeah, and I mentioned the hotel in Pennsylvania where you can rent a caboose.
Yes.
Yep.
And we also remember now. And we talked about kangaroos and how they are all jacked up.
See, it's all coming back to me.
And then and he had a lame hater that just commented, "Oh." See, I got some notes.
Good. One of us does at least.
I went back and just watched all my teaser videos I made.
So episode 43, we got Seth from The Hire. My call out to this episode is not recorded, or it's at least not in the video. Seth called me Chrissy Poo, and it did not make the cut. I'm sorry. But yeah,
I love Seth. Seth's funny.
It was a great episode.
He was fun to talk to because it was just like it was kind of like a jokingly conversation the whole time, but like also serious at the same time when we got to talking about certain things. Like we talked about aliens with Seth too. How Tom DeLonge, don't get talking about. You can get Tom DeLonge on this podcast if you talk about aliens. And I do remember Seth saying that if we ever come to Vegas or they tour, that we are on the list. We are on the guest list. Because he said we should be flaunting that. He's like, you got to be asking everyone that's on there to get you on the guest list. You got to use this podcast. And I'm like, nah, I don't feel comfortable doing that.
And he's like, do it.
But yeah, no, Seth was fun. He was fun. Kept blinding me with the sun behind him, but it was still fun.
Hey, it's Seth from The Hire. It looks like somebody's having a birthday. JAMXP is turning 1. The big one. JAMXP, make sure you check out their YouTube channel, subscribe to all their socials. Really good people, really great interviews. They have cool bands like The Hire on. I'm cool with that. They have other cool bands too, but mostly just they have The Hire on, which I think is really cool. They also have other bands, but mostly The Hire. Yeah. But they turned 1, yes. And I'm Seth from The Hire, and they're JAMXP, and they're 1.
So episode 46, we had the biggest asshole ever join us.
Yes, the biggest asshole ever, Mike from All American Rejects.
Yeah.
No, he's not an asshole. He's not an asshole.
No,
but he did tell me to call him one because he was late.
He
was late. He insisted, and I did call him an asshole on camera.
He was like, "Do we want to say how late he was?"
Nah.
They
don't need to know.
No. Yeah, no. It was a good episode though. Once we got through all that, his answers, I think we had a couple questions that kind of threw him off a little bit, where he had to think.
I mean, we do that sometimes with people.
We do.
We have done that. People have said, "Hey, that's a good question," and they actually have to think. So know that if you come on the podcast, you might have to actually think.
But no, I found it interesting that, even back in the day, especially early 2000s, and all the pop punk bands and all that stuff, you picture and hear party stories, and Mike just straight said they were never that band. The band was their business. They took it seriously, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to talk to him about Warped Tour and stories, and we just couldn't get a lot of stories out because they weren't a crazy band that had stories.
But he did say he remembered the 2005 Buffalo Warped Tour where everything went flying.
Oh yes, remembers that. And he did tell us a story about how he was driving one time and the van went out of control or something like that, and then some rock went through their back window. Yeah, always van breakdown stories or some type of other thing going wrong with a van. But what you forgot? One episode, we did have that one mini-sode.
We did have a mini-sode.
We did have a mini-sode in there because we were asked by the failsafe to come back on. We had no idea who we were interviewing, and we actually got to meet, Chad, the drummer. And we had a really good conversation with Chad.
That was a fun
I really
conversation.
enjoyed that. It was fun. Chad was funny. We had a lot of laughs in that little mini episode, which actually ended up being kind of almost a regular episode length because we were having so much fun talking with Chad. I really enjoyed talking about beaches and how it's not a beach if it doesn't have a shark. Because he's from Minnesota and I'm from Wisconsin, and I was like, well, they have beaches on lakes, and you were all like, no, those are all muck. Mud. And I was like,
mud.
And it must have apparently it has to have a shark if it's a beach, otherwise it's just a damn lake.
Yep.
But give that mini-sode a listen if you haven't. But on to the next one. Number 47, episode 47. This one was a good one too.
This one was good. I don't know how many interviews they had done previously.
Yeah, I don't know. They've had a few, but they haven't been around as a band for super long either. But we interviewed Opal and Sky, which a lot of people don't even know they have music because they pay too much attention to just their social media presence because they're really good at their social media posts. And like people don't realize they're actually twins, people. They are twins. There's not just one person pretending to be twins.
Well, now they cut their hair.
So it's more obvious now.
Unless they're putting on a wig.
I feel like some people still don't understand. But yeah, this is where we got our dinosaur question that we now ask like everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got some good life advice in the middle of the episode, and I can't spoil what it is. You have to go listen
Yeah,
to
you
get
have to
that
go
life
listen.
advice.
And we did talk about, what makes a good bleh.
Right off the top. So
Right
if you
off
want
the
to know
top.
the secret, you at
Go
least got to
listen to that
start the
episode.
episode. And then
But
if you want the
yes,
life advice, you got to stick around till about the
we
end.
definitely enjoyed our conversation with Dylan and Tyson. And Chris is like, yeah, I don't remember who their names were.
No, I actually remember their names.
Oh, you did remember their names.
Yeah. Now, on the other hand, the next is Set for Tomorrow.
Set for Tomorrow, yep.
48.
Episode 48.
Wait. Don't tell me the name. Is this Acre?
Acre, yes.
Yes. Got it. This was good. So this was the first, I mean, not really the first because we just had Opal and Sky. But it was like one of the first heavier bands, if you will, that we had on. Like Opal and Sky and then Set for Tomorrow.
Alisana is kind of heavy-ish.
That's true. That is true.
But we did have a lot of non-heavy bands, and we were like, we really need to get someone a little heavier on.
Yeah. And
it
was a good episode.
It was a good episode. He did talk about an unannounced project that I don't think he's even announced yet still. That he had started prior to joining Set for Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear what that is. And I know they're just proving the haters wrong because there were a lot of haters when Acre joined the band because people were used to them having a different singer and now they have a new singer. But it was interesting to hear from him his perspective.
And people were calling them like fake metal or like happy metal and posers or something like that.
Yeah.
If I remember him.
And they just released that new song Control. And I even commented, I was like, oh, I get it. The weirder, but it's good weird.
Good well, weird. That's out of context. That's an out of context comment that you gave. He did mention that the new music coming out is going to be weirder, but in a good way.
Yes.
And that we would have to wait to hear it to understand.
Hey JAMXP, Acre here from Set for Tomorrow, and I just want to wish you guys a happy anniversary. I had a blast being on the show this year, and I really enjoyed us talking about the band's direction for the future. Can't wait to see what amazing content you guys bring out in year 2. In the meantime, everyone make sure to follow JAMXP across all social media platforms. See ya.
All right, the next one is all you.
The next one's all me.
I'll sit here for the next 20 minutes while you talk about it.
It's number 49, which is a very important episode to me because it was Josh Wills from Story of the Year. My all-time favorite band of all time. And what?
Your all-time favorite band of all time.
Yes. My favorite band ever. Because they're the best. You got that, Josh? You're the best. But yeah. Actually, people, listeners, Josh actually contacted us.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a first for us, like someone, a bigger band actually contacting us to come on the podcast. So I was actually like very humbled by that, actually, that he reached out to me or us, all because I'm on their Discord page and he saw us posting about, I every time we have an interview, I share it with the Discorders just because maybe they want to listen to one of our interviews or it's a band they like, because not everyone just likes one band, obviously. And, he saw that I posted about the Letter Kills interview and he contacted us to come on, and we made that happen pretty quick too. Cause I knew they were going on tour and stuff too.
Yep.
But yeah, it was really fun to chat with Josh. I mean, he definitely hated Warped Tour.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I don't think he hated Warped Tour in general. He just hated like
not knowing what the schedule was going to be.
It was hot and he
yeah.
hated the heat. And there was things about Warped Tour he hated. He didn't hate the actual tour. He just hated being a band on the tour.
Well,
If that makes sense.
apparently Kevin Lyman went to their parties.
Yeah, so Kevin Lyman was always, making them play at 11:30 in the morning when they partied hard the night before. But yes, listen to that episode. It's a really good episode. And Chris felt like probably left out on that one.
Yeah,
a
I
little
didn't
bit.
talk much on it.
He didn't
probably.
talk much. It was me and Josh just chit-chatting, shooting the shit.
All right, and then we got episode 50, If Not For Me.
Yes, if not for me, we reached out to the home team's publicist and asked if we could set up an interview with If Not For Me, and we had Patty on from If Not For Me. We talked about a lot with Patty.
Yeah, I can't remember many specifics.
I remember specifics.
I bet you do.
Don't worry. We talked about how metalcore guys are big softies at heart.
Oh, yeah.
They're actually not devil-worshipping Satanists. Big misconceptions and everything. We did have a nice story about Pokemon Go.
Oh, yeah.
Where Hayden from the band just jumped out of their van in the middle of traffic and said, hey, like, pretty much take the wheel. And went to go find a Pokemon. And they found him an hour later. I'm not that hardcore when it comes to Pokemon Go, that's for sure. But no, Patty was very nice. And he's a very down-to-earth person as well. We actually haven't had any people on the podcast that haven't really seemed down to earth.
No, not many of them.
We've had a lot of guests that are very humble, I feel like.
Yeah, and I do remember, Patty, at the end after we cut the recording, I mentioned the issue with the tickets for summer school. He had me reach out to the publicist. So, yeah, he was a good guy, but
for sure,
I just can't remember things. I'm old.
Yeah, we're elder emos.
What's up, guys? This is Patty from If Not For Me, and I just wanted to pop in and congratulate JAMXP on their first year. I got to be featured on the show very recently, actually, and I had a great time. So shout out to Jess and Chris. Keep crushing it. We appreciate you guys, and go give JAMXP a follow.
Episode 51. So we took another deviation, right? In our normal recording type, we had Ginger Slaps, not Ginger Snaps, Ginger Slaps.
Yes, Ginger Slaps.
We talked everything from horror to music to gaming. I really tried to get her into playing some nonsensical games, and I don't think she'll be playing Duck Simulator at any point.
Yeah.
But I tried.
I mean, we did also talk about her reaction videos.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's when we noticed her, was when she did like reaction videos.
I don't remember when she came across. I think she came across when she did a soft-spoken reaction.
Yeah. I think that's when I saw her for the first time.
And then subsequently, If Not For Me reaction as well, that I saw her do. And then I think she also interviewed them.
She did.
So
she did interview them. I know that I feel like we could have chatted with her for like ever.
We could have.
We could have just sat there and talked just about random crap.
Yep. We had to wrap it somehow.
We were like, oh, I can't really have this go for like 4 hours, but but yeah, so I mean, I'd love to have Ginger back on. Is that her real name?
Too.
We never asked that.
Ginger, what's your real name?
Is it Ginger?
Is it Ginger?
Or is it like Jennifer? Because it's a J. I don't know. We should have asked that.
Whoops.
Oh well. Next time. Or right now.
Hi, Chris and Jess. I just wanted to stop in real quick and wish you a happy 1-year anniversary. Congrats on your first year of your JAMXP podcast. It was a pleasure to be able to join you guys for an interview, and I look forward to doing it again sometime soon. Guys, if you have not yet followed them on their social media accounts, be sure to do so, and head on over to the JAMXP YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button and notification bell, and be sure to give them a thumbs up. Again, congratulations, guys, and I look forward to more interviews.
Episode 52. This one actually came from a fan recommendation. So shout out to Z. I know you said you like your full first name being said, but Z is just so much shorter. Again, I'm
Stop
looking at my
looking at your
microphone.
microphone.
What up, microphone? So, and after listening, I was into it. It was a little bit different than I was expecting the music to be, but still, I was like, sure, we'll get them on. They responded quite quickly, and it was also the first time that we had a fan pop onto the podcast. So if you watch that episode, we actually called Z during the interview and I had her say what's up. And apparently she just almost like their de facto, completely unpaid, like low key manager when it comes to like their equipment and like all this other stuff. She really kind of like injected herself right into the fan base and kind of like being a leader of it, if you will. And at this point, Z and I are pretty good friends. So thanks again for recommending them, Z. It was a great episode. It was a shorter one, right? It was only like 30 minutes.
I know. We were like, well, we didn't know a lot about Seconds Away, and there wasn't a lot on the internet. So we had like a standard amount of questions and everything. And I feel like you wanted to try and make it a shorter episode because you didn't want to be like on super long, but I'm not sure if that was the case.
Yeah, no, I don't remember when we recorded that, but right around this time is when like my schedule, like both work and like personal life, and then the pod, it got super busy. So yeah, I think it was one of the ones where I was like, oh, let's see, but we had a decent amount of questions because actually when we were done, I was shocked how fast we went through.
They just weren't long-winded on their questions.
No,
we do get a lot of long-winded answers sometimes, and they were actually just straight to the point. Like they didn't like beat around the bush or anything on any of the questions. They answered the questions and didn't keep dragging them out.
Yeah.
Some people drag them out. But yeah, we had a lot of fun talking with Mikey and Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were super nice and they sent us shirts.
Yeah, that was completely unexpected, but I totally put their sticker on my car too. I got it up
I haven't
there.
done that because I don't really put a lot of stickers on my car because I know I'm gonna need a new car in the next like year. And
just put it on there and use Goo Gone.
No, then I'll have to. But my car's going to the junkyard, man. So I don't want to waste those stickers on that car. I want the sticker for the new car. Duh.
Duh.
But yeah, thanks for the shirts, guys.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it.
I actually also have now that you can see it, they sent a note with the merch that they sent. I've got it right up on the wall in front of me.
Aw.
Yeah. Well, I had one from Senses too when I ordered merch from them, so that one's up there too.
You got your notes.
I do have my notes, of course.
Happy birthday, JAMXP. Congratulations on turning 1.
Huge thanks to both Chris and Jessica for having us on the pod.
It was really great to be able to hang out and talk music with y'all.
Let's do it again soon.
Peace.
Love y'all.
Episode, I almost said 33. Ooh, going back
53.
53. We're down to the last two. Crossing I's, dotting T's.
Yep, crossing I's, dotting T's.
I'm glad I got to nerd out about skateboarding for a little while.
Yes, you and Matt definitely went on a little tangent nerding out about skateboarding. I have know nothing about skateboarding, really. I had that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles skateboard.
Yep.
And we did talk about Element and how that Element skateboard came into my work, and the lady I was working with, wanted to put $3.99 on it. Craziness.
That would have been nuts.
But no, we didn't really know a lot about crossing I's, dotting T's. So
no, and didn't he reach out to us?
Yes, he did reach out to us. I don't remember if it was through like a comment originally or if he messaged us. But I know we set it up by reaching out. And I know we did reschedule once.
Yes.
So we didn't have a lot of reschedules, but when we did, I mean, they got rescheduled and they happened. So
yeah.
But yeah, this was the first I think that we had where someone was in their car for an interview. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you got to go where
got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, when I was looking for a job, I took many interviews in my car. So video interviews too. Do. All right, the last episode.
Yeah, I
I
don't want
know
to
you
give
said
too
you
much.
didn't.
I don't want to give too much away on that crossing I's, dotting T's, just because it just came out.
Yeah.
So go listen to it.
And in the very last episode we're going to talk about, it hasn't even gone out yet, but by the time people listen to this, it will have been out for a
Yes.
week, maybe
Yes.
2 if we make this a 2-parter.
Well, if we do a 2-parter, we haven't decided. Do we want to do a 2-parter release Tuesday and then release Thursday?
I don't know. We're going to find out.
We'll figure it out, guys.
Episode 54, the one right before this one, we had Sam Tabor. And this was kind of a goal guest of mine. So Sam Tabor, if you don't know, he's a YouTuber and musician. He also skates. And so I found him a long time ago, probably almost 8 years ago, through the whole skateboarding on YouTube community. And anyway, once I found out he was doing music again, I tried to reach out. We reached out to his management, and there was a miscommunication there. So we're like, oh, it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to get him on. And then you commented, right? It was a comment on one of his videos, and he reached out and said, I'd love to come on. So we made it happen. Again, household name for my family. And we got to talk about a bunch. Link got to say hi to him. My little guy got to say hi to him before we started recording.
He's very shy.
Link is
Link
shy.
was very shy, not Sam.
But it was a great episode. I mean, like just hearing all his different musical influences, it's crazy. Because what I've seen as far as like on his YouTube videos, it's always like the hardcore side. But being into like bluegrass and folk music, and he's got such a wide array. And of course, the music he plays is kind of more like folky guitar music.
Well, you got some banjo in there.
Yeah, so it was an interesting interview. It went fairly, I would say it went pretty well. I don't know. What would you say some standouts of that one were?
I don't know. I didn't write about that because I didn't know we were talking about that one.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed that he laughed when I was explaining how I found him through Andy. And that Andy at first used to drive me nuts because his hands were always in frame when he was behind the camera, and it used to drive me absolutely batty. I'm glad he found that funny. But yeah, no, hearing about one thing I didn't mention on that episode, somebody had posted a while back that they had met him at a show, and he took time to take a picture with that person. Like, that's a nice gesture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
no, Sam was a great guest. I enjoyed our conversation. I enjoyed it because he talked about his newer song that was it the one that was just released that he did
on
with
the
his
25th.
Mom?
Yep.
Yeah. That he did
25th
with
of
his
June.
mom. So that was nice to know that like, he did a song with his mother. Not a lot of band people do that.
No.
It's usually just collaborating with another band or another person in a band. Never with a parent.
You think John Bon Jovi would have collaborated with his mom? Get out of here.
I mean, maybe. Is she talented? I don't know.
I don't know. But that's JAMXP year 1 in review.
Yeah. Man, this is the longest review ever.
I know, for real. But
wow.
Thanks.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed our review, if you stuck through this all.
And, thanks for listening. Thanks for being, a fan of ours. And
yeah, we do appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do so. I don't know. Thanks for listening. And take care. That's what I say all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good to me.
Yep. Jam's 1 year. 1 year old. Woo! Can't wait to see what year 2 brings.
More chaos.
More chaos. We can only hope, right?
We can only hope.
A little bit. Maybe they'll bring Taste of Chaos back.
Yes.
They should bring that tour back. They should bring Warp Tour back. That should be in year 2.
Taste of Chaos.
Yeah, totally. With all that monetization we're doing. No. But yes, happy birthday, Jam XP.
Bye.
Are we just gonna just cut it there?
Yeah, may as well.
All right. See you later, guys. Catch you on the flip side. I don't know.